Mr. Rose, I also record and then post them in the module pages. So like if you're absent, you can go back and watch the notes and get caught up. Okay. The method we talked about yesterday, the 1A, 3A, 5A method of graphing. If the A value is negative 3, then obviously 1A is negative 3. What is 3A? Negative 9. What is 5A? Negative 15. We said yesterday that a lot of times, this isn't helping me. A lot of times you'll only get this because the 5A will jump too far off the graph. This is not, as I said a few minutes ago, I said you're going to have to find some blank space, like with the solution page or something. Okay? Our vertex is at the origin. I should see if I could get this a little bigger. Yep. How far to the right should I go? And how far down should I go to find the next point? 1 unit to the right, how far down? Those of you who are saying 3 would be correct, right? It's the 1A, 3A, 5A rule. So, I'm coming down 3 units and plotting that point. I go 1 more unit to the right. How far down should I go? 9, 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. If I go 1 more unit to the right, how far down should I go? 15, and that's definitely going to drop off the graph, so I don't have enough room for that, right? All right, now, there's an imaginary line cut right down the middle here called the Axis of Symmetry. Obviously, in this case, it is x equals 0. On the other side of that line, what should I be doing? Yeah, the exact same thing on the other side. So it's important to know where that line is just so you can quickly draw a couple points on the other side and give me the basic graph. So that's kind of what we talked about yesterday. The 1A, 3A, and of course the 5A in this case was not possible because it dropped off the graph. So if you can get the 1A and the 3A, just duplicate them on the other side and you're done. At least with that part. Okay, remind me. Here's a parabola. Over here on the left side is this one where I've got my cursor. It says x minus 1 quantity squared. Do you think that's going to be moving to the right? Okay, maybe I should zoom in a little bit. Do you think that this one is going to be moving? Maybe if I highlight it, can I highlight it? Do you think that one's moving right or moving left 1 unit? It is moving to the, well, we'll find out here. You are correct, to the right. Now, why is that happening?
I plug a 0 in here, what does that give me here? 0, right? What do I plug in here to get 0 over there? 1. In other words, I had to plug in a bigger value to get the exact same number. And that bigger number moved it to the right. Now, I know your common sense is seeing a minus sign and you're thinking, oh my goodness, that's got to go left. Inside the parentheses before the square, inside the absolute value bars, inside the radical, every time you have a movement that's inside, it looks backwards from your common sense. Even though you see the minus, it's moving the opposite direction.
So what do you think is going to happen on this one? It's going to go left 2. You are correct. Okay? If you're not writing examples down, remember, you get to use your notes when you're taking tests, right? Unless there's a diabetic reason. Let's not eat the food in my room, thanks. Medical reason, yes. And if that's the case, let me know later. We have way too many insects around here. And then we have to deal with them all the time. Okay, how about this? X squared minus 3. The minus 3 is on the outside of the square. Is that moving up 3 or down 3? It does match your common sense. When you think down, you are correct. Shifts on the outside do follow your common sense. So the plus 4 on the outside is moving it up 4. Okay? Now, here's a positive square root function. What do you think is going to happen when we do this one? Right or left? X minus 1. I've got 1 vote for right. I've got 1 vote for left. Let's find out. Looks like it's to the right. The part under the radical, or inside the absolute value bar, or inside the square root symbol, is always going to look backwards from your common sense. So what about this minus 3 on the outside of the radical? When it's on the outside of the radical, or outside of the square, or outside of the absolute value bar, close it if it's really bothering you. Because it's bothering me. When it's on the outside of that, it's an up or down movement. So do you think it's going up 3 or down 3? Because it matches your common sense. Yep. When it's on the outside, it matches your common sense. Okay. Let's go back to the notes. Now, what's the value of A in this case? A is equal to 1/3. Wow, that's really large print. So if we've got the 1A and the 3A and the 5A, that would be 1/3, and then what's 3 times 1/3? 3/3! Now you and I both know what that is, right? That's 1. And the last one, 5/3. All right, now, I am not a huge fan of the scale that they chose. Look at the scale that they chose. You expect me to go up 1/3 of a unit? Okay, that's crap. We're going to change the scale. We're going to make our lives easier. Every 3 blocks... Oops, sorry, what am I doing? Every 3 blocks is worth 1. Okay? Every 3 blocks, 1, 2, 3, 2. That still seems a little bit. No, that's not what I wanted. So every 3 blocks, 1, 2, 3, is worth. Okay. Graph it. If you change that scale, graph it. Y equals 1/3 x squared. and see what you got. Okay, so everybody should have had a point right there at 0, 0. If I go 1 unit to the right, how far up do I go? In this case, I know I'm going up because A is positive. How far up? 1/3 of a unit, which on my graph is only 1 block because of the way we've changed it. Before, it was going to be extremely ugly to go up 1/3. If I go over 1 more, how far up do I go? 3/3, which in this case is 1 block. Or 3 blocks, I'm sorry. I can't even count. Or talk. It's a bad problem. No cap. That's right. I'm not capitalizing anything in that sentence. Okay? I refuse. So, in this case, we went up 5. So, 1/3, 3/3, 5/3. Now that I have those points drawn, what do I need to do? Copy it to the other side. Thank you very much. Okay? Whoa. Sorry. A little bit wonky on the left side there. Hopefully that wasn't a bad word. I never know. Any questions about what we're doing with the 1A, 3A, 5A? Okay, now, what about this one? Question 7. What is going on right here? You need to describe it to me. Down 8. A, B, C, or D? A, B, C, or D? B is not correct. It says up. C is correct. It says down 8. What's the value of A? It's a 1. So if I want 1A, 3A, and 5A, it's going to be pretty basic. 1, 3, and 5. Okay, graph it. Start at the origin. Or no, we don't start at the origin. Where do we start? 0, negative 8. If this thing goes down 8, you need to be starting down here. Use your 1A, 3A, 5A to get a lot more points. Alright, so because it's down 8 units, we got our dot at 0, negative 8 from that spot. If we know that this is 1A, 3A, 5A, 1, 3, 5, and it's positive, so that means it's going to open up. Go over 1, up 1. Put a dot. From that dot, stay right at that dot, and go 1 more. 3. And I need matching points on the other side. Parabola shape. If we go over 1, how far up are we going this time? Up 1. Over 1 more, how far up? I got to vote for 3. Is that correct? It is. Over one more, how far up? 5, 2, 4, 5. Now that I've got those points graphed, what do I need to do? Copy them to the other side. Draw your picture. You got the 1, the 3, and the 5. Holding. I feel like I'm in a holding pattern. Flying around an airport. Question 8. We need to know where the vertex is. It is not going to be 0, 0, folks. What is this x plus 4 telling me? To the left, 4. Now, I just heard something interesting. I heard something about 16. That means I think the person is thinking about the square on the outside. Don't worry about the square on the outside when you're trying to figure out how far it's moving, left or right. All you have to do is look inside and remember that it's opposite of your common sense. Right? Yes. Maybe I have to get close. How about this part right here? Which way? Up 3. Okay. Tell me the vertex. No, it's not 0, 0. If you've gone left 4 and up 3, what the heck is the 0? Come on. You're better than this. Yes, sir. Negative 4, 3. Thank you very much. Now, we need that whole 1A, 3A, 5A thing. One A happens to be negative 2. What does that make 3A? Negative 6. What does that make 5A? Which way is this thing opening? Up or opening down? It is opening down, so keep that in mind. This is a down opening parabola, which makes a whole lot of sense because the A's, the 1A's, the 3A's, and the 5A's are all negative, so they're taking me down. So find your starting point. Graph it. You know that 1A is negative 2, 3A is negative 6, 5A is negative 10. No. Do that once. Do that once. Make all kinds of money. You got all 4. All 4. Yeah. Yeah, I'd say so. Okay, so let's see here. Zoom in on this. If I go 1 unit to the right, which way do I go? And how far? 1 unit to the right. And how far? Up or down? Down how far? 2. Right? That's that 1A where we drop 2 units. If I go 1 right again, how far do I drop? 6. 2, 4, 6. Right? I had to drop 6 units this time. I don't even know if I can get the next one in, can I? Because I got to go over 1 and down 10. I'm at -5. Wow, that's like right at the edge, isn't it? Down 10. And then once I have those points, now what? We got this line right down the middle here called the Axis of Symmetry. By the way, what is that line? What is that line? X equals -4? That's true. Goes right through -4. Plus, folks, if you look down here at the bottom, it was multiple choice. Yes, that's the one. Now that I have those points, what am I supposed to do? That's it, folks. That's it. I'm done. Copy to the other side. Thank you. Copy to the other side. Copy to the other side so that I can get the other side of the graph. Most of the time we don't even get the 5A. We just get the 1A and the 3A because we run out of room. Okay, now I'm giving you the picture and you have to write the equation. We're going to be filling in these things. What's the vertex? What's the vertex? Tell me what it is. -4, 3. That's enough information to fill in those 2 spaces in the equation. Now we'll talk about what we have to do for the first part, but what would we be putting inside there? X plus 4. Good, good, good. And then on the outside, plus 3. Opposite of what you see inside, exactly what you see outside. Now the last part, the part that we want in the front, the A value, well, I need to zoom in on my picture a little bit. So there's my vertex. If I move 1 to the right, how far up do I have to move before I find the next point? How far up? 1 unit. Well, guess what? You just found the value of A, +1. I'm literally just going 1 to the right and counting up or down how much I needed to get to that next point, and I know that that's a 1 that goes in there. Now, I know that there are people in this room that understand that this is exactly the same equation. I'm not going to take off if you did write a 1 in there.
Now, the reason I wrote a 1 in there is to illustrate that that's where that value is going to go, because maybe you're not going to get a 1. Maybe it's going to be a positive 2. Maybe it's going to be a negative 3. You're going to have to look at the picture and see what it is and put that number there. Sorry, I'm in the zone. Oh, man. Okay, thank you. Which way is this square root moving? We have the normal positive square root function, right? That's just your generic looking shape like that, which we looked at a few minutes ago. When the plus 3 is on the outside, which way is it moving? Up, down, left, or right? That's up 3, which is which graph? A, B, C, or D? Looks like choice D down here. That is true. It's the only one that's been moved up 3 units. So you need to be able to look at these graphs and say, oh, is it moving left? Is it moving right? Is it moving up? Is it moving down? What do you think that's doing? This time it's inside the radical, not outside. I've got 1 vote behind me for to the right 8. Is that true or not true? Okay, I got a second person agreeing with that. Are these two people correct or wrong? Is that x minus 8 causing it to go to the right 8 units? Yeah, it is moving to the right 8 units. When it's inside, it's backwards of your common sense, but it's a left and right movement. So this is going to the right 8. And I don't know how it could be choice A. That's a line. Which one is it? The one that's been moved right 8. Remember, each one of those blocks is worth 2. Each one of those blocks is worth 2. Which way are we moving now? Left 5. Left 5. Which one of those is going left 5? Choice A is moving to the left 5. Okay, question 13 is a little bit different. All right, now, the multiplier that you see in front of it. Maybe I need to back up here a second and look at another question first. Thanks for staying with me instead of drifting. Why is it not typing? I said y equals. Okay? What is this going to do to the graph? 2x squared. 2x squared. Okay? Here's your original y equals x squared, and then we throw a 2 in front of it. Now, what just happened to the picture? What just happened to the picture? What just happened to that picture? It changed how? I know you think it got thinner, right? That's the basic idea. It got thinner. Yes, it is something to smile about. Okay? Okay, now, what really happened on the graph is this. You took the whole graph and you did this to it. You stretched it. You stretched it. By stretching it like this, you took the points and you moved them up. By moving them up, it made the whole graph look skinnier. But in reality, what you're doing is stretching the points up. What do you think is going to happen if I take that 2 and change it to a 0.5? 1/2. What's going to happen to the graph? Okay, so some of you are doing like this, right? You're trying to mimic the idea of it's getting wider. Guess what you're also describing to me? The whole graph got compressed. It shrunk in the vertical direction. Now, why does a positive 2 stretch it up and a 0.5 shrink it down? What's going on here? You're right, it does shrink it down. It has everything to do with the fact that one of the numbers is larger than 1 and one of the numbers is smaller than 1. So, what do you think? Stay with me, please. What do you think is going to happen to this graph if I put a 3 in front of it? It's going to stretch it. Which way? Is it going to get closer to the x-axis or further away from the x-axis? Further away, you are correct. Further away, which means which one of my pictures is the right one? It is the middle one. They don't have letters A, B, C, but yes, it is that middle one because it got stretched away.